All right, welcome to the night class. Today we get to do Chapter 4's mid-review, talking about functions. So we're going to start off. Number one says determine the equation whose roots are -2, -1, -5. The cheat way of doing this, if you have no clue, is to graph all four of your answers and see which ones go through -2, -1, and -5. Okay, the x-axis. The correct way to do it is if -2 is a root, then what's a factor?
2.
X plus 2.
Can you plug it in and see which one's if you get them to be 0, then it's
That even takes longer than the putting it in and looking at the calculator. Okay, that's a little too thick for my taste. Here we go. All right, yeah. If x minus 1 is a root, then x plus 1 is a factor. And if x minus 5 is a root, then x plus 5 is a factor. And then you multiply them out. So I'm going to leave the x plus 2 like it is. If I do x times x, you get x squared. X times 5 is 5x. 1 times x is x. 1 times 5 is 5. X plus 2 times x squared, 5x and x makes 6x plus 5, and then you multiply one more time. That will be x cubed plus 6x squared plus 5x plus 2x squared plus 12x plus 10. And then finally you just add all your like terms. So 6x squared and 2x squared is 8x squared. 5x and 12x is 17x plus 10. And let's see here, C. Okay? But like I said, push comes to shove. Put that in your calculator, graph it, see where it crosses the x-axis.
Do we have to show work?
No, because I understand you could do it that way. Okay? You can graph, like I said, that's going to take a little time, and if you know it, it probably evens out as far as how long. I mean, you might get lucky and it be the first one you try.
Well, these are color coded, so you can grab them all at one time, and it'll show you what color are each.
You could, but don't confuse yourself.
I did 2 at a time, like I did A and C.
I got you. But yeah, you're looking for where it crosses the x-axis at -2, -1, -5. Everybody good? Okay. Number 2. Given that 1, 0 is 5, find all zeros of p of x. Now, these you can also cheat and put in your calculator, but I'm going to require you some work on these, okay? So I'll let you off on number 1 if you need to. 2, 3, and 4, make sure you show your work. So these are the ones where you're going to synthetically divide by the 0 that they give you. They give you 1, 0 of the 3. Synthetically divide, you're going to say 1, put in your coefficients here, right? 1, -10, 29, and -20. And bring down that first one. 5 times 1 is 5. Add those up. What's -10 plus 5? -5. 5 times -5 is -25. Add those up. You get 4. 5 times 4 is 20. And you get 0. If you don't get 0, something's wrong, okay? So we have left x squared minus 5x plus 4. And we factor those. What two numbers multiply to be 4 and add up to -5? -4 and -1. Set them equal to 0. So x will be 4. And x will be 1. Okay? You can rewrite x is 5 if you want to, but I'm looking for 4 and 1. Okay?
So if you don't get 0, it's just 9.
If you don't get 0 for your remainder, you did something wrong, because it's supposed to be 0. Because it's telling you this is a 0. Okay? It's not going to lie to you, or it shouldn't. So if you don't get 0, you're messing your math or something up wrong. Okay? Everybody good? Any questions? We're about to do another one. number 3. Same process. And again, I don't mind if you check your answers with your calculator, because again, you can graph that and see where it's crossing the x-axis and make sure it's 5, 4, and 1, just to make sure you got it right. Okay, but I do want to show you. I want to see your work. Okay, so I'm going to divide this one by 3. My coefficients are 1, 3, negative 13, and negative 15. Bring down our 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Add those up, you get 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Add those up, you get negative 5. No, positive 5, excuse me. Positive 5. And then 3 times 5 is 15. God bless you. And we have 0 like we're supposed to. So that leaves x squared plus 6x plus 5. And you need two numbers that multiply to be 5 and add up to 6. Positive 5. It's got to add up to positive 6. So positive 5 and positive 1. And then you set them equal to 0. You do get negative 5 and negative 1. So on this one, x is 3. Negative 5, negative 1, okay? And as far as I know, anytime you're factoring these, most of the time they're going to be nice and easy, okay? Like these are, okay? They're not going to give you any that are too bad. All right. Any questions on number 3? Same thing. Number 4. Yeah. Erase all this. Everybody get all of it? Okay. If not, you can go back and watch the video again. What are we dividing by on number 4? Negative 2. So, negative 2. My coefficients are 1, 9, 20, and 12. Bring down your 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Add those up, you get 7. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. Add those up, you get 6. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. And we get 0 for our remainder like we're supposed to. So x squared plus 7x plus 6. What two numbers multiply to be 6 and add up to 7? Positive 6 and positive 1. Set both of those equal to 0. You get negative 6 and negative 1. So x equals negative 2, x equals negative 6, x equals negative 1. Okay?
Can we try x equals for every individual answer? Can we try x equals 3, 5, 4?
That's fine.
I was just wondering.
Thanks, bud. Everybody good on 1, 2, 3, and 4? Okay? Be very good at 2, 3, and 4 because we're going to do them again later on. Okay, so you have quite a few problems that are like that. 5 and 6, I had to give you 2. I'm sorry. I know.
If you
I had
don't
to give
put
you
any
2.
on the test, I'll give you $1.
A whole dollar?
$1.
A whole 4 quarters?
Everyone in this class will give you $1.
100 pennies?
That's like $23.
I will actually give you $100.
Wow. That's tempting, but
Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
It's like the
I'm going to erase some here, just so I have a little space to work, and I'll put it back here in just a second.
I don't know why we have to do it.
Because I said,
If there's like 3 other ways.
because I said 2.
I don't mean that. I just mean like why it's a thing in general. If there's 3 other ways to figure it out.
I can read it.
That doesn't make
Hey,
sense.
did you know why they made the fungi? Do you know how they made the fungi pay double on the airplane?
Wow.
Pay for 2 seats on the airplane? because he took up too much room. All right. So number 5.
I don't get it.
It's okay. You
You
will.
gotta repeat it. I didn't.
No, it's a fungi. It's a mushroom.
It's
Too
a
much
fungi.
room. It's
He's
a
a
fun.
mushroom.
Anyway, all right, I killed it.
Too much room. That's what?
Too much room. Too much room.
Too much room.
Mushroom.
If you
fungi.
take up too much room on an airplane, they make you buy 2 tickets. They make you buy 2 seats.
But I get that. But too much room.
Mushroom.
Too much.
Mushroom. As in the fungi. Mushroom.
Oh my gosh.
Mushrooms are a fungus.
Moving on.
Oh well. All right.
For once I actually got it.
Good job. We're not going to say names here because we don't, Anyway, okay. What's our first step when we're completing a square? What does A have to be? 1. So we're going to divide everything by 4. Okay. So we'll get x squared minus 3/4 x plus, I'm going to go ahead and move my 5/4 over. It becomes positive 5/4. And I don't know why I put 1. I should not have put 1 yet. Oh! Happens every time.
Oh my goodness.
Happens every, there we go. Now I'm cooking with gas. Okay. All right. So, what do I do to B? 2 things. Divide it by 2, so negative 3/4 divided by 2 is negative 3/8. And then what do I do to the negative 3/8? Square. So, 9/64 gets added to both sides. The number you add to both sides is always positive. Always remember that, okay? This gets factored into x. What goes in the parentheses with the x? It's always what you get when you divided the b by 2, okay? So minus 3/8 equals 5/4 plus 9/64, I believe was 85/64, is that right?
89.
89, thank you. 89/64. And then how do you get rid of the square? You take the square root. So x minus 3/8 equals plus or minus. Square root of 89 just stays square root of 89. But what is the square root of 64? 8. So reduce 8, and then last step, add 3/8 over.
See, like, when you do it, I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then I try to do it, and then it doesn't work.
Okay? Any questions?
You're gonna have to go a little slow.
All right, I'll go a little slower on the next
It's just too much.
So you're back in your house
one. Get
now?
above the line. Yes.
Did you enjoy your time in the camper?
It was okay. I miss my kids and my wife.
It's a lot of work, but I'm gonna get it. It's not about the line.
There you go. I presently struggle with this, but I'm going to do my practice test tonight, and I'm going to kick its butt. Take it personal. It's not better than you. You can do this. Kick its butt. Okay?
Got it.
All right.
Here's an above the line one. I'm gonna wait till Jason. Stay above the line.
Jason, make sure you cover your paper really good tomorrow. Do I need to make a special test just for Matt? Is that what Matt's kind of?
I've never cheated.
That's kind of what it sounded like.
You gotta have another sign. I think you all.
Okay. What are we going to divide by first on number 6? 3. Everything gets divided by 3. So we're going to have x squared minus x minus 1 equals 0. Move the 1 over. X squared minus x equals 1. That's not thick enough. There we go. All right. What is my b?
1.
Negative 1. What do I do to it?
Divide by 2.
Divide negative 1 by 2. Well, that's just negative 1/2. What is negative 1/2 squared? 1 squared is? 2 squared is? 4. 1/4. Okay? Everybody good to that? I add that to both sides. I factor on the left and just add them up on the right. 1 plus 1/4 is 5/4. What two numbers multiply to be 1/4 and add up to negative 1? That's basically what you're doing here, but you don't have to think of it like that. It's always what you got when you divided b by what? By 2. So that goes in the parentheses. But if you do the math, it works. What's negative 1/2 times negative 1/2? 1/4. What's negative 1/2 plus negative 1/2? Negative 2/2, which is negative 1. Okay? So the math still works, you just don't have to think about it. Okay? It's just works. It's like, whose slogan is that? Somebody's slogan is it just works. I'll Google it later. Okay. 2 more steps. What are we going to do next? Take the square root. X minus 1/2 equals plus or minus square root of 5 have a square root? No, so just square root of 5. Square root of 4 is 2. Add your 1/2 over. And there's your answer. 1/2 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2.
I need a second. So you'll always divide that number by 2?
The b, once you get a1,
Yeah.
you'll take the b and divide it by 2 and then square that. Every time, yes. Okay?
So after you divide your a, at the beginning you divide it, then you take your a and then divide it by 2?
You take your b,
Your b?
yes,
Okay, b.
the b, and divide it by 2.
Alright, got you.
Alright? Everybody good?
That's that.
No problem.
All right.
Benny got screwed yesterday.
Alright. Get to erase all this.
As you blow around me and I'm doing like shit.
7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, 9 are asking for the discriminant. The discriminant, if you've forgotten, is b squared minus 4ac. So literally all you're doing is putting that in. Okay? So here, b squared minus 4 times a times c. On number 7, what is b? 2. A is 2. C is. Put that in your calculator. See what you get. So 324. 324. Okay? 324. And then it says describe the nature of the roots. If your discriminant is a positive number, you will get 2 real roots. Okay? If it's 0, you'll write 1 real root. If it's negative, you'll write 2 imaginary roots. Everybody understand that? Okay? Again, this is all you're plugging in. Do not put the square root part. Okay, that's not the discriminant. The discriminant is what's under the square root. Okay? Same thing here. What's b?
18.
18 squared minus 4 times A is 3, B, C is 27. And again, you're just sticking that in your calculator. Get 0? 0. So, 0 is my discriminant. That means I have what kind of nature of are my roots? One real root. Okay? 9, same process. What is B on number 9? 1 squared minus 4. A is 4 and C is 6. Put all that in. Negative 95. Got to put the 1 minus 96. I'm assuming.
I got negative 95.
Oh.
Right here. Did you forget the 1? So, negative 95, which means we will have 2 imaginary roots. Okay? And understand that's just like you used to do in Algebra 1. The only difference is in Algebra 1, because you don't deal with imaginary numbers in Algebra 1, you just would have put no real roots. That's what you used to say. Okay? You'd have two real roots, 1 real root, or no real roots. Well, now we've changed that no real roots, because if they're not real, what are they? Imaginary. So it's 2 imaginary. Okay? Everybody good? Awesome. Number 10 says use the remainder theorem to find which of the following is, very important word here, not a factor of the polynomial x to the third plus 2x squared minus x minus 2. So, you're going to graph it, but be careful because remember, these are the factors, not the roots. Everybody with me? Okay? So when you go, and let me scroll out of this so I can pull up my calculator. You pull up your calculator and you go to y equals and you plug it in. Can somebody read it to me?
X to the third.
X to the third.
Plus 2x squared.
Plus 2x squared.
Minus x.
Minus x.
Minus 2.
Minus 2. And you graph that. All right. This goes through negative 2 right here, which means x plus 2 is a root, x plus 1 is a root, and then x minus 1 is a root. So which one of those did I not say? X minus 2. Okay? So, number 10 is what?
So if we plug them in,
A.
if we plug them in, we have to flip the sign?
Correct. Because when you plug in, you're plugging in the root. You're not plugging in the factor. Always remember that. Okay? I'm sorry? Yeah, he said when you're plugging these in, for this one you're going to plug in 2. For this one you're going to plug in negative 2. For that one you're going to plug in 1. For that one you're going to plug in negative 1. And if you get 0, then that's a root. Or that's a factor. If you don't get 0, it's not a factor. So that's the only one that if you plugged in 2, that you don't get a 0. You don't know what you get. You get something. 12, apparently. If you plug 2 in here, you get 12. That means it's not a factor. But you do have to change the signs. Okay? 11, same thing. We're going to plug it in just because I think that's the quick and easiest way of doing things. So this time it's x cubed minus, it was minus, right? Minus 4x squared?
Oh, it's
No,
plus.
plus 4.
Oh, plus 4x squared. Thank you. Plus 4x squared, then minus what?
4.
X
Nope,
minus
that's
x
x,
minus
and then it's
4.
minus 4.
I got it right? Okay. I hit graph. So this time again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So x plus 4 is a factor. X plus 1, here's plus 4. X plus 1 is a factor. X minus 1 is a factor. So that means which one of those was not a factor? C. X minus 4 is not a factor. Okay?
I thought we flipped the sign. Am I confused?
We do flip the sign because when you See, this is -4. -4 works.
Okay.
Okay, so that means x plus 4, the factor,
Doesn't work.
is a factor. No, this right here.
Okay.
This is the root is -4, but the factor is x plus 4. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay? Because remember, whenever you get the factors, you always set them equal to 0 and change their signs to get the roots.
Yes, sir.
You with me?
Yes, sir. I got
Okay. So when you're plugging in, if I'm checking x plus 4, I'm plugging in -4 and it works.
you. All right, yes, sir.
If I'm checking x plus 1, I'm plugging in -1 and it works. If I'm checking x minus 1, I'm plugging in +1 and it works. But if I try 4, now I'm plugging in -4, -4 doesn't work. So that's why x plus 4 is your answer. Okay? 12. Divide using synthetic division. We just did that earlier. So if you're dividing by x minus 2, what goes in my little box? +2. Okay? And then you got 1, -6, -4, and 30. And on these, understand, you're not solving or anything. You're just dividing. They just want to know what do you get when you divide it. Okay? So bring down your 1. 2 times 1 is 2. -4, or -6 plus 2 is -4. 2 times -4 is -8. Add those up. -4 and -8 make -12. 2 times -12 is -24. And we have a remainder of 6, which is okay, because we're not asked to solve this or anything. They just want us to divide. Okay? So remember, we had our biggest exponent was 3. So for my answer, we're going to start with 1 less than that would be x squared minus 4x minus 12, and it has a remainder of 6. And that's how you write your answer. You're just simply dividing. Okay?
Wait,
Oh,
I have a question.
Hate it when I write the problem wrong. Yes, ma'am.
So when we did the division like this earlier, we didn't change the sign. We kept -2, so why did we not change it this time?
That's an excellent question. Everybody here? She said, before we were dividing, we didn't change the sign, but now we are. Difference is, we are dividing by a binomial, x minus 2. Up here, when we were doing these problems, okay, let me find, here we go. When we were doing these, right, it says 1, 0 is what? 5. The zeros are what you put in the box, okay? So that's not x minus 5, it's 5, okay? If we had just divided, if it would have said divide by blah, 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 it would have said divided by x minus 5, because you divide by factors, but you plug the roots into the box. Is that answering your question?
Yeah.
Okay, so anytime you're dealing with a zero or a root or a solution, that's what you're plugging in the box. Okay, if you're just dividing by a binomial, they're basically asking you, they're not asking, you're just trying to see, is that a factor or not? Okay, so it potentially is a factor, which means the root is opposite that. Okay, so same thing here. We're dividing by a binomial. I'm going to put -3 in my box. Okay, and we got 1, 4, -9, -26. And we haven't had any, but always remember, if you skip a term, if you go like from x to the third and you skip x squared and go straight to x, you got to put a 0 there to hold the spot. Don't forget that, okay?
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
So when you go from the top row to the bottom row, you subtract, right?
You add them up, whatever they are. If they're negative numbers, you're subtracting. So 1 times, bring it down, 1 times -3 is -3. I add 4 -3, which is subtracting. It's 4 minus 3, but you're adding them up.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, I got the one from earlier, right? So I guess I just started doing that. I don't really know.
-3 times -12 is 36. Is that right? Yeah. Add them up. We get a remainder of 10. So x squared plus x minus 12 with a remainder of 10. Sorry? Woohoo! Can't get them all right until you get one. See, it worked. That saying works for homework. So anything. Like I told the football team, you can't win them all unless you win the first two. I'll win the first two. I sure can. So 14. One more like that. So we're going to plug in what? 3. Coefficients are 1 and 9 and -9 and -70. 3 times 1 is 3. 9 plus 3 is 12. 3 times 12 is 36. Plus 9 is 25. Is that right? 27? 27. And 3 times 27 is 81. That's 11. So we have 1x squared plus 12x plus 27 with a remainder of 11. If you get one without a remainder, don't freak out. It just doesn't have a remainder. Okay? If you put remainder of 0, that's okay, but it's not necessary.
But how do you check your work on these?
I mean,
Yeah.
just go through and double check you did everything. You can check your work on if it doesn't have a remainder. You can do that. Okay? You know what? There is a way to check your work. Take your remainder. We got 11, right? All right. So if I got 11, if I was gonna do it and checking it if it was a factor, what would I plug in to my equation?
No, 3.
3. So if you come in here and you do 3 cubed plus 9 times 3 squared minus 9 times 3 minus 70. Stick that in your calculator. Literally, put it in your calculator. I'm hoping. If we did it right, we should get 11. Because it's always equal to the remainder. Carly says we got 11.
I did, yep, 11. I put a 0.
So if you get 11 and your remainder is 11, chances are you got it right. Because it's hard to get the remainder right and not get all these right.
Okay.
So there's a way you can check it. Okay? That literally is the remainder theorem. That's all the remainder theorem says is your remainder is going to be equal to the same number you would have got had you plugged in the root. Okay? Everybody good? All right. 15 and 16. We are back to working it like 2, 3, and 4. All right. The only difference is on 2, 3, and 4, they literally said, hey, you have a 0 at -5. You have a 0 at 2. These, they don't tell you that. You have to use your calculator to get one of the zeros, and then you're going to find the other 2. Everybody follow me? Okay. So, let me erase this. And we're going to put this in our calculator. Fun times. 24x cubed, right? 24x to the third. Then what?
14x squared minus 14x squared.
Minus 14x squared.
Minus x plus 1.
Hold on, I'm screwing things up. Okay. And then what?
Minus x
Minus x
plus 1.
plus 1. Okay. So, this one, if it's little like this, okay, it doesn't, all of my answers look to be what? Fractions. They're all fractions because there's 1 and there's -1. So it's all in between -1 and 1. So you can zoom in on this and blow it up, okay, if you need to. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. You hit zoom, and there's the very first one says Z-box, okay, Z-box. It sounds like, I don't know, a Russian said it or something. Z-box or Italian, I don't know, whatever it is. So we're going to put a box. So you see my little cursor right there blinking on the origin? What you want to do is you want to move it to a corner of your box, Okay, so just think about it. You're going to be drawing a box around what you're wanting to look at. So as soon as you get, I'm putting in the top left corner, I'm going to hit enter. And as soon as I hit enter, now it's going to start drawing my box. So I go down, and then I go over. And basically, I'm just putting a box around what I want to see. Okay? Everybody see that box? Now, when I hit enter again, the box will be my big screen. Everybody understand what's happening? So enter, there was my box. And now I can see things a lot clearer. Okay? If you need to do to 0, you can. But it looks like that is about what? Halfway. So I'm going to try a half without worrying about it. Okay? Let's see if a half works. How will I know if a half works? How will I know if this works? You don't get a remainder. If 0 is my remainder. So we're going to have 24, negative 14, negative 1, and 1. Bring down my first number, 24. What's 1/2 times 24? 12. Add those up, I get negative 2. What's 1/2 times negative 2? Negative 1. Add those up, I get negative 2 again. 1/2 times negative 2 again is also negative 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, like it's supposed to be.
Yes,
How'd I guess what? I didn't guess, I looked at my graph. There's 0, there's 1. That looks almost about dead half in the middle. So I tried it. Okay?
What would you do if 1/2 didn't work?
I would do it, I would go back, and I'm going to hit second trace, and I'm going to find my zeros. Okay? One of them. Like I said, you don't have to do this once. So I'm going to go down to number 2, and see how it says left bound, right bound?
Yeah, we done that.
Yeah. So you're going to, if you're using this point right here, you're going to move the cursor to the left of it. All right? If you want to do this one right here, you're going to move it. It's good. I'm thinking that's the one, so I'm going to move it just to the left. See, I have to go past this one. Okay? Hit enter. It makes me a little line here to show, hey, there's my left bound. Here's my right bound. I've just told the calculator it's somewhere in between these two, and if you hit enter one more time, it'll tell you the 0. Okay? Now, again, technically, can you find all of them that way? Yes, but I want to see your work. So make sure you can check your answers doing it that way, but make sure you show me your work.
Okay.
Okay.
So press trace.
Right? Not second trace.
Second.
The blue button trace. And then you want to find the 0. Okay? And like I said, you can do that 2 more times and get the other 2. But that's not what we're wanting here.
So
Okay?
1/2 the root.
1/2 is 1 root. Yes. So I can over here, I can put x equals 1/2 for right now. But now I got to find, it's to what power? It's the third power, so there should be, how many more roots? 2 more roots. I got to find the other 2 roots. Okay? I'm sorry?
Can you not just plug it into the calculator?
Plug what in?
No.
I'm letting you use one answer just by plugging it into the calculator. I want you to find the other 2. Okay? Let's compromise. Otherwise, you remember us doing the P's and the Q's the other day where you had to divide all the P's by the Q's and you got, okay, these are our possible answers and we're supposed to plug them in and see which ones gives us 0. Okay, it takes a long time. I'm not making you do that, okay? Just graph it, get one answer. Now, you can factor this if you want to. I am not. It is factorable, but it's big and ugly, and I'm just going to use the quadratic formula, okay? Now, there's a catch here. In order to use the quadratic formula, you have to know the quadratic formula. Know what I mean, Vern? All right? So, B is negative 2. So negative 2 goes there and there. A is 24, which goes there and there. And C is negative 2, which goes there. And from there, it's just simplifying. Again, simplify it into parts. Don't try to put all of that in your calculator at once, okay? It will mess you up. What's a negative negative 2? 2. Plus or minus the square root of something over 2 times 24 is what? 48. Now, I always do what's under the square root last. So what is negative 2 squared minus 4 times 24 times negative 2? 196. Now, take your calculator and type, because I believe 196 is a perfect square. Okay, I think it's, what is it, 16? 14. So basically we're doing 2 plus or minus 14 over 48. So you do 2 plus 14, hit enter, divide it by 48, math enter, enter. Will give you your reduced fraction. 1 over what? 1 over, so where'd my other, oh, I done gone too far down. Here we go. So 1/3, and then we do 2 minus 14 over 48. You should get negative 1/4. Those are your 3 rational roots.
3.
1/2. Remember, I'm letting you steal the first one from your calculator rather than having to plug them all in. Okay.
So you just got 1/3 from.
I did 2 plus 14, which gives me 16 over 48. That's 1/3. Okay, that reduces to 1/3. And I did 2 minus 14, which gives me negative 12 over 48, and that gives me negative 1/4. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Everybody good?
Wait, didn't you get a positive number under the square root? Your discriminant was positive, so shouldn't you have 2 answers?
I do have 2 answers.
Oh, okay, so you don't count the first one.
No, because that, remember, that's only when it's a quadratic, right?
Right.
Okay, not a cubic. If it's a cubic, it's going to have 3 answers.
Right.
Okay? All right, 16, we basically do the same thing. So I'm going to keep what's the same. And we're just going to change the work. And as you can see, it's basically doing the same thing all over again. We're just using different numbers. So I'm going to use the same stuff I'm going to keep on there. It's 24, 2, negative 9, and negative 2 this time. I don't know if 1/2 works, so let me plug in. We got 2x squared minus 9x. Was it plus 2?
Minus 2.
Plus 2x squared minus x.
9x.
9x minus 9x plus 2.
Minus 2.
Minus 2. Thank you. So I'm going to graph. All right. Again, what kind of looks like it works though? Negative 1/2. You see what? Okay. But again, it's really, I'm going to guess, because if I guess wrong, it's going to tell me I'm wrong because I won't get 0 for the remainder. Okay. So, you know, don't worry about guessing, because if you guess wrong, it's going to tell you. Okay, so that looks about negative 1/2. I'm just going to try it just to save me time from having to do all that calculator stuff. Okay, so going to plug in negative 1/2 this time, and we do the same thing over again. So 24, that's negative 12, plus 2 is negative 10. Negative 1/2 times negative 10 is 5. That's negative 4. Negative 1/2 times negative 4 is positive 2, and I get 0, so now I know I picked the right 0. So I know one answer is negative 1/2, okay? And I take what's left, that's 24x squared minus 10x minus 4, and I plug it into my quadratic formula. So B is negative 10 for this problem. A is 24 again. And C is negative 4. So we get positive 10 plus or minus square root of something over 48 again. What is negative 10 squared minus 4 times 24 times negative 4? It's 100 plus something.
There's supposed to be two negatives on that.
Where? Here?
Yeah.
Yes.
400.
It's negative B. So negative B, B is negative, so it's two negatives. Okay?
I got 484.
484?
I got two.
284? No, I gotta put it in. Y'all.
I did it exactly like you did.
Well, then you're right. If you did it exactly like I did, you're correct. 484. You people that didn't get 484 didn't plug it in like that. What is the square root of 484? 22? So we get 10 plus or minus 22 all over 48. So 10 plus 22 is 32 over 48. What is 32 over 48 reduced to?
2 over 3.
2 over 3. And 10 minus 22 would be negative 12. And negative 12 over 48 is negative 1/4. All right. All right, so 17, find the number of possible negative real zeros of the function. So you're not actually solving it. They just want to know how many possible negative real zeros are we going to have. So the negative one is harder than the positive, okay? To do the negative, you have to plug in negative x first, okay? So you're finding f of negative x. That's not to the fourth, sorry. That is 4. There we go. I wrote square, but it was 4. So negative x to the fourth minus 343 negative x squared. When you have a negative to an even power, it makes it what? Positive. So 7x to the fourth. Again, negative squared would be positive. Positive times a negative is negative 343. Now, once you have that plugged in, all you do is count how many times does the sign change. What's the sign on 7? Positive. Did that change? Positive and negative is definitely different. Okay? So that changed. So how many times does it change? Once. So that's your answer. There is one possible negative real zero here.
So if it said 7x to the fourth minus 343x squared plus like 27,
And it'd been
then
2.
it would be twice.
Correct. Now, 18 is the easier of the two. It's just positive, and you don't have to change it at all. You just count how many times the sign changes. Okay? So, positive to negative is 1. Negative to positive is what? 2. So, your answer is 2 or none, because we always have to include, it could be 2, but they could also be none and have 2 imaginary answers. Okay? So whatever your answer is, always go down by 2 as well.
Is this the what's in the lesson we just did?
Yes. All right, that's all it is. Any questions? Everybody good? All you do is see how many times the sign changes. So it went from a positive 4 to a negative 24. That's one change. And then negative to a positive, that's 2 changes. So, nope. You don't have to do that on the positives. You have to plug something in on the negative. You see, to do negative, you plug in negative x, simplify it, and then do the same thing. But you have to plug in the negative x first. If you're doing positive, you just count how many times the sign changes.
But why'd you put 1 on that one? Because nothing changed about the original to that.
you're not talking about from the original. You're talking about on the new equation. This was a positive 7, and it was a negative 343. So it changed once. Okay? If you'll go back, just kind of showing you here. 1, right? Doesn't change. 2. So it changed twice. Notice how many positive answers did we have? 2. All right. Were we to plug in negative, all right, obviously, I guess since we had 1 negative, it would only change once. So I'm just showing you it works. This one doesn't change. Okay, so this one only changed once. So how many positive answers did we have? 1. Okay. Had we plugged in negative, right, negative here, would have made that first one negative. Okay, if you plug in negative there, it stays positive. If you plug in negative here, it becomes positive, and then you have a negative 2 again. So notice how many times does the sign change? Twice. How many negative answers did we have? 2. It's just a cool little thing that works all the time. Okay, so little stuff like that, if you remember it, it's real easy to check and make sure you're doing stuff right. Because if you, hey, it changed twice, but I got 2 negatives instead of 2 positives. Well, something's wrong. Okay, it's real easy to see what's wrong. All right, the last 2, I'm going to be Mr. Nice Guy. I want you to understand the last 2 you're doing just like you did 15 and 16. Okay, but I'm just going to let you use your calculator to find all 4 answers. Ain't that sweet? Okay, so we're going to plug this into our calculator, and I'm going to force you because I want you to know how to find the zeros on your calculator. Okay, so I'm going to force you to do it. So I go to y equals, and I plug in, what was it, 15?
15x to the 4th.
X to the 4th. How many answers we're going to have, by the way? 4. 15x to the 4th.
Minus 4x cubed.
4x cubed.
Minus 18x squared.
Oh, shoot. Minus 18x squared. There we go.
Plus 4x plus 3.
And I hit graph. Now remember, I'm still zoomed in. I'm actually going to zoom out because this one doesn't actually need to be zoomed in. Okay, so you can see there's a 0, there's a 0, there's a 0, there's a 0. Okay, so it looks like 2 of them I don't really have to find. What's this one?
-1.
And what's that one? Positive 1. So it looks like plus and minus 1 work, but the ones in the middle, I'm going to find my zeros. Okay, so I hit, what do I hit? Second trace. I'm trying to find the what? The 0, so number 2. And I'm gonna do this one first. So I need to move my little cursor to the left of that point. Notice, I don't go past the other 0 there. Very important. Okay? So that'll work. I hit enter. Then I move it to the right of that 0. Again, don't go so far right that you go past the other 0. Enter, enter. Negative 0.33333. What is that as a fraction? Negative 1/3. Okay, so we've got 1, negative 1, negative 1/3, and finally, do this one more time. Second trace, 0. So this time I'm going to use it to find this one. So to the left of it, hit enter. To the right of it, hit enter, enter. 0.6. Anybody?
Yeah.
3/5.
I got
So my answers are
x equals 1, y equals 0.
1, negative 1, negative 1/3, and 3/5. You got what now?
X equals 1, y equals 0.
20, the last one. You're going to get 1 and negative 1 again. And then we plug in, we get 6x to the 4th. Is that right? And then what?
Negative x to the 3rd.
Yeah.
Alright, and then,
minus 8x
alright, and then,
plus x
and,
plus 2.
and we hit graph. Again, you can see it goes through -1 and 1. You just want to find those in the middle. And just to save time, so I make sure I write the answers down. I believe it's -1/2 and what was the other one? 2/3. Okay? Make sure you study hard. Stay above the line. Have a great day.